What if I told you Jesus had an identical twin? Not just a brother, a mirror image, a man who shared his face, his powers, and his deepest secrets. A man named Thomas. Scholars agree Jesus had at least one brother, James. The Apostle Paul called James a pillar of the early church. The Jewish historian Josephus recorded his execution by stoning, ordered by the high priest of Judea. But there was another brother, one far more mysterious. Some early Christians believed Jesus had a twin not just in appearance, but in supernatural essence. His name was Thomas. Why Thomas? The answer lies in his name. Thomas comes from the Aramaic word for twin tuoma. When translated into Greek, an S was added, making it Thomas, a Hellenized version of twin. In the Gospel of John, he's even called Didymus, Greek for twin. So we have a man named Twin, called Twin, but twin of whom? The New Testament never says. It leaves a gap, a silence, that early Christians rushed to fill. And fill it they did. A whole body of early Christian literature elevates Thomas from a footnote to a cosmic counterpart. The Gospel of Thomas, the Acts of Thomas, the Book of Thomas, texts that treat him not as a doubter, but as a divine mirror of Jesus. In the Acts of Thomas, written in the 3rd century, there's a scene at a wedding. The groom sees Jesus speaking with the bride, but the text says Jesus had the appearance of Judas Thomas. And Jesus says, "I am not Judas Thomas, I am his brother." Here, Thomas isn't just similar, he is identical, a true twin. The Book of Thomas takes it further. It presents a secret dialogue between Jesus and his twin brother, Judas Thomas. Jesus says to him, "Since it has been said that you are my twin and true companion, examine yourself and learn who you are." This isn't metaphor, this is theology. But how did this idea emerge? The New Testament lists Jesus' brothers James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. One of them is named Judas. And at some point, early Christians merged this Judas with Thomas. Since Thomas means twin, they concluded he must be the twin of Jesus. Not historical, but powerfully symbolic. These texts share something else. They all emphasize secret knowledge. The Gospel of Thomas opens by calling its sayings secret. Jesus shares hidden wisdom with Thomas. In the Book of Thomas, Jesus reveals esoteric truths. Thomas is the receiver of mysteries, the guardian of what is hidden. This idea of twinship wasn't just about family, it was about salvation. Some early Christians believed each person has a true primordial self, a divine image that existed before creation. A luminous being, made in the image of God. Salvation meant reuniting with that true self, becoming like Christ. The Gospel of Thomas says, "When you make the two one, and when you make the inner as the outer and the outer as the inner, then you will enter the kingdom." It speaks of transcending duality, male and female, earthly and heavenly, becoming one. And who embodies this unity? Thomas. In one passage, Jesus takes Thomas aside and tells him 3 secret words. When the other disciples ask what was said, Thomas replies, "If I told you, you would stone me." Some scholars believe those words were, "I am you." Jesus and Thomas are one. Twins not just in flesh, but in spirit. This theology didn't survive. Later tradition reduced Thomas to doubting Thomas. The twin brother faded from memory, suppressed by the canon, forgotten by the church. But for a time, in Syria and beyond, Thomas was more than a disciple. He was a prototype, a model for every Christian, showing that to be saved is to become like Christ, to be his twin. Of course, historically, Jesus likely had brothers, but Thomas was not one of them. The twin tradition is theology, not history. Yet it reveals a profound truth about early Christianity, its creativity, its diversity, its hunger for the divine. We are still uncovering these lost threads today. If you want to go deeper, I highly recommend the upcoming online conference, New Insights into the New Testament. It features world-class scholars like Dr. Mark Goodacre, Dr. Candida Moss, and Dr. Bart Ehrman, experts who can guide you through these mysteries. The link is in the description. Sign up and unlock knowledge that has been hidden for centuries. Sometimes the most compelling truths are not in the facts, but in the faith, the stories, the twinship of the divine and the human.